First story. The shadows that chase in Elmridge. It was just supposed to be a quick evening run. I do it almost every night. Same streets, same route. From the edge of Elmridge Park to the abandoned train tracks near the woods and back again. Nothing unusual ever happened. Until tonight. The sun had already dipped beneath the horizon, leaving streaks of bruised purple and orange in the sky. I tightened my shoelaces, put my earbuds in, and took off down the street. The pavement felt familiar under my feet, the rhythm of my breath syncing with the quiet of the suburban streets. Houses glowed dimly with TV light, and porch lamps flickered on one by one. It wasn't until I passed the old sycamore trail near the back of the park that things started to feel wrong. I felt watched. Not the kind of watching where someone might peek through their curtains. This was deeper, colder. Like something just beyond the tree line was moving in rhythm with me. I slowed to a jog, pulled one earbud out. Silence. But a silence that pressed against my skull. No crickets, no wind. Just my breathing and something else. Footsteps. I turned. Nothing there. Just the dark trees, frozen in place like a photograph. But the sound had been real. I know it. I picked up my pace. The trail curved near the old maintenance shed, a place kids whispered about in school. Something about a man who had vanished there during the winter of 1989. I always thought that was just small-town lore. But tonight, something about that story crawled out from the shadows of my memory and took shape. I heard it again. Faster. Closer. No shoes. No gravel crunch. Just the sickening slap of bare feet on wet dirt. I sprinted. The trees blurred, my lungs burning. The path behind me groaned. A sound like wood under pressure. And I swore I heard something breathe. Then the lights went out. The entire street ahead, usually lit by those orange sodium lamps, flickered twice, and died. I stopped. I didn't want to. I needed to keep going. But something in my body refused to move forward. Then I saw it. Something stepped out from the trees. It wasn't a person. It had the shape of one, tall, thin, but it shimmered like heat on asphalt. Its face was wrong, blurred like a long exposure photo. And it was smiling. I turned around and ran back the way I came, but the path had changed. The trail was longer. The trees closed in. I couldn't find the park. I couldn't find the street. I ran for what felt like hours. Every few seconds I'd look back, and every time it was closer. Not running, just walking, but gaining ground like the shadows bent time around it. I remember falling, hitting my knees on rocks, blood on my palms, the scent of rust and soil. When I woke up, I was in my bed. At first, I thought it was a dream. But then I saw the dirt on the floor, the bloodied shoelaces, and the footprints. Bare, wet, leading from the window to the foot of my bed. I never run at night anymore. But some nights when the wind's just right, I still hear it. The soft, deliberate sound of something walking barefoot through the streets of Elmridge. It's still looking for me. And I think next time, it won't let me wake up. Second story. The trail beyond Lantern Creek. I always ran the same trail, 5 miles through the thick woods behind Lantern Creek, down past the old ranger station, and looping back by the abandoned railroad tracks. I liked it early, just before the sun broke through the branches. It was my peace, my silence. Until that morning. I'd been training for a marathon and left the house just before 5. The fog was thicker than usual, the kind that swallowed everything more than a few feet ahead. I remember thinking how quiet it was. No wind, no birds, not even the crunch of gravel under my shoes felt real. It was like sound itself had vanished. About a mile in, I passed the collapsed fence marking the old ranger station, just an empty shell of rotted logs and broken windows. I'd seen it 100 times, but this time, something was different. A figure stood by the station wall. It wasn't a person, or if it was, they weren't moving like one. Their head was cocked sideways, their limbs too long for the rest of their frame. I stopped mid-stride, my breath catching. "Hey!" I called out, trying to convince myself it was just a hiker. "You okay?" No answer, just that tilt of the head, then suddenly a twitch. A violent one, like it had been yanked by invisible strings. I ran. I didn't think. I didn't look back. My heart was pounding so loud it felt like it was vibrating in my skull. I tore down the path, my legs barely touching the ground. I heard something behind me. Not footsteps. Not breathing. A dragging sound, like something was being pulled through the dirt and twigs. 2 miles in, I made it to the turn at the railroad tracks. That's when I saw the same figure again, in front of me this time. It was impossible. It hadn't passed me. There was no way. It stood in the center of the path, motionless. Then it started running toward me. Not like a person, its arms flailed behind it, its back hunched, feet slamming the ground in jerky, unnatural movements. I screamed. I dove off the path and tore through the underbrush, branches slashing at my arms and legs. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't care. I just ran. I stumbled into a clearing I'd never seen before. Dead center stood a stone circle. Ancient-looking, moss-covered, symbols carved into each stone. The air felt wrong, heavy, like the forest was holding its breath. Behind me, the sound stopped. I turned slowly. It stood just at the tree line, watching me, breathing hard, twitching. Then it spoke. Its voice was mine. "Why did you leave me behind?" My knees buckled. I don't know why those words hit me so hard, but somewhere in the darkest pit of my guts, I knew it wasn't lying. I stumbled backward, tripped, hit my head on something, I think it was one of the stones, and everything went black. When I woke up, it was dark, not foggy, not morning. Night. I checked my watch. It was dead. My phone, screen shattered, no signal. I stood slowly. My legs were stiff, my breath shallow. That's when I noticed something burned into the ground where I'd lain. A mark, same as the symbols on the stones. And in the center of it all, one word: returned. I limped back to the trail, not even sure how. I was out there for hours. When I finally found the path and made it home, my front door was open. Inside, everything was cold. The picture frames on the walls, my face was gone from them. My clothes, missing from the drawers. My bed, made like no one had slept in it for years. I screamed, ran to the neighbor's house, pounded on the door. When Mrs. Harlow opened it, she gasped like she'd seen a ghost. She started. "You're dead. You died running that trail over 5 years ago." I tried to speak. My mouth opened, but no words came. My reflection in her window, my skin pale, eyes hollow, that mark glowing faintly on my neck. I turned. Behind me in the darkened street it stood, waiting, watching, and I ran, again, forever. Third story, the miles that should have never been run. It was supposed to be a quiet night, just me, my shoes, and the open trail that looped through the forest near Willard, Missouri. I always ran late. It helped clear my mind. Around 9 o'clock, the trees wrapped the trail in a thick darkness. But I liked it that way. Peaceful. Solitary. Until that night. It started normal enough. My feet hit the gravel with rhythm, breath controlled, heartbeat steady. The wind whispered through the branches like it always did. But maybe it whispered something different that night. Something I didn't hear, but felt. About a mile in, I noticed the sound of another set of feet. Light. Quick. Just behind me. I glanced over my shoulder. No one. I stopped. Silence. I shook it off. Maybe a deer. Maybe I imagined it. The forest had a way of playing tricks. But when I started running again, the footsteps returned. This time they matched mine perfectly. Echoing every stride, still no one in sight. Then my phone buzzed. One notification. No signal. Just a message that shouldn't have been there. "Don't stop running." I froze. The air changed. Heavy. Too still. No insects, no wind. Only the sound of something approaching. I turned slowly and saw the trail behind me swallowed in pitch black, like the forest itself had closed its eyes, and something moved in that darkness. I couldn't see its shape, only that it was tall, wrong, like it was walking without touching the ground. But fast. I ran, faster than I'd ever run. My lungs burned, legs screamed, but it stayed behind me, always just out of reach, never falling back. The lights of the trailhead came into view. Relief flooded me. If I could reach the parking lot, I'd be safe. But the lights flickered and died. Darkness again. Then, silence. The thing was gone. I stumbled forward, trying to find the path back to the road. But the trail didn't lead to the parking lot anymore. It curved, went deeper. I'd run this loop 100 times. It never curved there. The air thickened with fog, though the forecast had been clear. I kept moving, not knowing where I was going anymore. My phone buzzed again. Too late. Then everything around me shifted. The trees bent inward like they were watching. Their branches reached out, claw-like. I heard whispers, not from around me, but inside my head. My legs stopped moving, not from exhaustion, but like something held me. Roots crept from the ground, snaring my feet. I fought, screamed, but no one heard. The forest absorbed my cries. A figure stepped from the trees. Same height as me, same build, wearing the same running gear. It had my face, but its smile was wrong, stretched, cracked, eyes hollow. It whispered with my voice, "You shouldn't have stopped." I lunged at it, but my body didn't move. Instead, I felt my consciousness snap like glass under pressure. One moment I was me. The next, I was watching myself step into the fog with that thing wearing my skin. And I stayed there, frozen, in a body no longer mine, forced to watch it run back to town as me. No one ever found my body. No one knew I'd vanished. Because I hadn't, not really. Every night, it runs the trail. Every night, it wears me. And it waits for someone else to run alone. So if you ever hear footsteps behind you, don't look back. Just keep running.